Welcome to the Do You Believe podcast. It's been a while since we've done a conspiracy episode, so I've put together a quick show about the Kola Superdeep Borehole, or in urban legend terms, the well to hell. Cue the theme music. All right, before we start, I want to encourage everyone to help us grow by telling your friends about the Do You Believe podcast and all the shows we have. We've probably got something for everyone at this point. We've got this show, the DYB show, Matt and Mandy show, our Real Talk episodes. So yeah, just tell everyone. Also, follow us on social media. It helps us, know that there's new fans out there, and we want to hear from the fans. So if you go to www.doyoubelievepodcast.com, we have links to all our social media and all that jazz. So check it out. But yeah, with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the well to hell. All right, so I just read about this randomly once. I found it interesting. I'm going to share it with you guys. But the Kola Superdeep Borehole, is a result of a scientific drilling project conducted by the Soviet Union on the Kola Peninsula. The project was an attempt to drill as deep as possible into the Earth's crust. The drilling began May 1970, ran through, I think, 1995. The boreholes were drilled by branching from a big central hole. The deepest one reached 40,000 feet in 1989, and that's the deepest artificial point on Earth. The borehole itself is 9 inches in diameter, so it's really small. So I've got some pictures to go along with this for people that are watching on video. If not, audio listeners, you can check it out later. It's just a couple pictures of the site, nothing crazy. But yeah, so there they are. You've got top left, there used to be a main tower structure that housed where the drilling was taking place, the main section. Since then, that has collapsed. So the bottom 3 photos are kind of currently what it looks like. These are from Google Maps that I found. That little circle is highlighting the 9-inch diameter hole. So it doesn't look like anything here. It's just a little drain pipe with trash laying around. So it's doesn't have as much awesomeness to it in its current state. And you can see from the overhead view and the side view down here that the main structural tower is gone now. So the site's completely abandoned. I just saw the guy who took these pictures is just hanging out there with some hoodlum kids just messing around on the site. So that picture in the top left, for those of you that are just listening, it's you've probably seen it before. It's there's the city, and then there's this huge gaping hole that looks like it's going down into nowhere. That's not this hole. If you Google Kola Superdeep Borehole and you see that picture, that's not it. That's an abandoned diamond mine somewhere in the Middle East. But yeah, so let's talk about what they found. I think they just expected, you drill down, it'll get harder and harder to drill, and then slowly the temperature will start to rise as you get close to the mantle or the lava, the gooey center of the Earth. But so what they did find is that the temperature started increasing at a much faster rate than you would think. So like I said, they thought that the rock would get thicker as you drilled deeper, but that wasn't the case. That's what's interesting. It kind of stayed the same, and at some point they ended up hitting a bunch of water, really deep down. They never expected to find water down there, but they did. So, having covered Hollow Earth in a previous episode, that's kind of something I like to hear. So, lend some credence to that. We really don't know what is under our Earth, just because we haven't dug deep. There hasn't been a place for exploration. They'd rather focus on space and stuff. So there's a lot more mysteries underneath the Earth. And even like in the deepest parts of the ocean too. We know that. Yeah. So there's a little more to that, but we'll come back to that when we get to like the good juicy part of the conspiracy. But eventually, you know, there was too much heat, too much pressure, and the equipment couldn't keep up. It just kept breaking. So they didn't have the technology to go deeper, so they just kind of gave up. That was around 1995, I think. And nobody has since tried to dig deeper or continue that operation. So, you know, there's probably a reason for that, and you might find out in the next part. So here's the legend part. So the legend has it as they continued to drill, and the temperature kept rising and rising, and then all of a sudden the drill bit started spinning uncontrollably. Like if you're drilling hard, like it starts to struggle, and then when you finally break through like to the other side, it starts spinning fast. That's what it did. So they're like, did we just hit like a giant cavern or something? Like we didn't expect to find us at all. So what they did is they decided to lower a microphone down into the hole to see if it would pick up anything. Any sounds, cave sounds, water sounds, whatever. I mean, just for scientific purposes. But it wasn't able to record for very long due to how hot it was down there. But what they did find was somewhat disturbing, to say the least. So there's a guy kind of like the grandfather of conspiracy theories used to have. His name was Art Bell. He used to do like a late night AM radio talk show about supernatural stuff, conspiracy theories, and he would have guests on. And he had a guest on that claimed to have the recordings that they found. So I'm going to play a clip for you guys. So just enjoy this.
Now, I've got a clean copy of it now, and I warn you, this could scare you. Here's the email. Dear Art Bell, I just recently began listening to your radio show and could not believe it when you talked about the sounds from hell tonight. My uncle had told me this story a couple of years ago, and I didn't believe him. Like one of your listeners who discounted the story as nothing more than just a religious newspaper fabricated account. The story about the digging of the hole and the hearing of the sounds from hell is very real. It did occur in Siberia. My uncle collected videos and audio tapes and so forth on the paranormal, supernatural. He passed away fairly recently, but he would have loved your show. He let me listen to one of the audio tapes that he had on the sounds from hell in Siberia, and I copied it. He received his copy from a friend who worked at the BBC. It took me a while to find it tonight, but attached is that sound from my uncle's tapes. It's not the greatest quality, but the sounds are there. I was very hesitant to send you this, as the sound bothers me to listen to. I'd suggest that if you do play it on the program, warn listeners in advance so they may have the option of turning the radio off for 30 seconds while it plays. It has always haunted me. To those who discounted the Siberia sounds from hell story, it is true, and I, for one, wish it wasn't. Rick, listening from Chicago. And so I submit now the cleaned, a better copy to you, and I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
So that is the clip from that show, that the alleged recording of what happened. So they think that they poked a hole right into hell, and that's what they were recording, was the screams of the damned. So that's the legend. And you know, to argue that maybe it did happen, based on the fact that the place is in ruins now and completely abandoned and nobody has any desire to go back and do that again, maybe there is some truth to this. Or maybe it's just made up. So I'll leave that for you to decide. I'll at least provide like the obviously some people have put out, you know, debunking stuff saying this isn't true. The main thing, it just claims it was a hoax. They can't really pinpoint who made it up or where it came from, but they calling it a hoax. I mean, with something like that, you have to call it a hoax, or else you have to admit the possibility of a hell existing. And some people aren't, you know, willing to do that. So most people just claim, I say most people, that the main argument against it, they just say, oh, this is just remixed sound effects from a 1970s film called Barren Blood. I guess it has maybe some hell scenes and stuff. I didn't look into any of these videos. I think I've seen people like comparing the audio and stuff side by side. You guys can go check that out if you want. But yeah, that is the Kola Superdeep Borehole, or the Well to Hell. I'll leave it up for you to decide if you find that credible or not. I just got asked the question, do you believe?